What's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, reviewing today Dynasty Warriors 9. Let's take a trip back in history to ancient China. This was a period of amazing advancements both with technology and art. However, it was also a time of terrible war and a constant struggle for power. The people who lived during this time weren't just going to sit there and take it though. Many random citizens rose up to become powerful soldiers to make their family quite famous, or others established themselves as skilled generals in order to try and seize their own destiny. Dynasty Warriors 9 takes place during the fiery battles that forged the most interesting parts of this past, but it does things in pretty much the most fun way possible. There are over 80 playable characters in this game, and each one is a totally different, insane hero that has the ability to literally fight off armies by themselves. The core feature of this game is clearly the pure thrill of taking down thousands of people all by yourself, and trust me, every mission is going to require you to do that. Let me start with a small confession, which is that I haven't tried anything in this series in probably 10 years, but the massive changes they've made in this sequel are instantly apparent to me, even though I'm just jumping back in after a decade. The biggest difference is that this is now open world. It is a system that is so interesting to try out, because instead of having it where you're taking on a particular quest that takes you just one single region, instead, the entire nation is immediately available to you. You can walk anywhere and do anything. Normally, games like that can kind of be confusing sometimes because they don't give you proper direction. They don't tell you what to do, so you just kind of wander around aimlessly. However, this handles that problem brilliantly with this really great quest system called scrolls. So basically, every chapter of the game has one main objective, typically trying to kill a giant leader or take over a base. Doing that though is really impossible at the start. You're far too weak and they have all the strength. By doing the earlier tasks on the scroll though, it slowly weakens your final target. And it does this in some really cool ways. For example, at one point I was supposed to try and sneak into this emperor's palace. However, while I could scale the walls and try and take him down, he was way too strong on his own, and just getting to him is a little bit confusing since his castle is giant. Just navigating through all the streets and not being spotted is almost impossible. But what I could do is find a random hermit who used to be an assassin and already has a map. By helping him out, he'll give me a map that'll show me how to get exactly into the king's quarters. There's also some really funny ones, like at one point I was supposed to take down this strategist who was extremely good. There was no way I could take him down one-on-one because every time I'd try and ambush him, he would always counter my movements with a giant ambush or something that was just so advanced I couldn't possibly keep up. However, when I managed to find his mom living up in the countryside, I was able to recruit her for my army. Now, she's not going to be willing to fight, but she will actually talk to him, which messes with his head. It makes him panic, thinking I've taken his mother hostage, making him do more mistakes and screw up. There's so many times like this where just the way quests would unfold was genius to me. I kept wanting to go back and try every mission multiple times just to see the different ways I could take down a target. Replaying stuff is really a major aspect of this game because with the 80 playable characters, every time you beat a chapter, you end up unlocking several other characters that were there during the battle. This sometimes is the good guys and the bad guys. Now this is so cool to me because I love the bad guys in this game, and it's really cool because seeing all these major events from their point of view is very amusing because they definitely think that they're the good guys even though they're very obviously evil. They talk to themselves about having these perpetual wars and trying to dominate all nations, but then they still treat us like we're these invading criminals by trying to liberate the people. Going through all this again with different factions gives you more light to the story, but I know what you're probably saying. I don't want to be weak. Every time I start a chapter, I don't want to become level 1 again. Well, they actually solve that problem in a really unique way, which is that every item you unlock in this game can be equipped to any character, which means that if I I make it all the way to chapter 9 and I am super high level, I'm killing tons of people, I have like a plus 800 attack damage sword, I can actually take it off that character and give it to my level 1 hero, so he will absolutely dominate. Now the reason I love this system so much is because it really felt like it encouraged me to go through things a second time, or a third time, or a fifth time, and each occasion still felt just as fun as interesting because of this amazing combat. So obviously you're seeing me just demolish people left and right, and this is because of just how fluid every single encounter is. So your normal blows are just strong attack and weak attack, but by holding a shoulder button, it enables you to do more specific strikes, like one that'll launch your opponents up in the air or try and stun them for several seconds. This is the most important aspect of fighting off stronger enemies because there's an element of battle called flinch, which is so incredibly vital. It basically makes it where characters will stop attacking for a second. They'll freeze up. Now, you need to use this as much as possible because the longer you keep a character flinched, that means they can't take you down. And since you're literally fighting off thousands of people by yourself, it is really key that you keep this going as long as possible. Personally, one of my strategies was I equipped a sword that did really good launch damage, and I'd keep people up in the air as long as possible. I would do everything in my power to make sure they couldn't touch the ground, because the second they landed, they would start tearing me up, especially when I was dealing with enemies that are 5 or 10 levels stronger than me. If you are good at this game, you can actually do stuff way ahead of time. In fact, there were a few occasions where I wanted to blow through an early chapter, and I gave a weak character one of my massive mega swords. That way I could go back and blow through stuff. I could actually charge straight for the main boss right at the beginning without him being weakened at all and immediately finish that chapter. I like this system because it really opens up so many extra options. It's a game that really does want you to forge your own path. I do want to say that there is a weird downside to all this though, which is that unlocking new chapters and progressing forward in the story can be a little bit weird at times. Specifically, what I'm talking about is the only way that I've found to unlock new chapters and actually get more characters is to beat it with a character who survives to the next chapter. That sounds really odd, and honestly it confused me when I first tried it out. So when I was switching between characters, there was a time when I just wanted to play as Lu Bu because he's one of my favorite dudes. I started at chapter 2 and I just played as long as I could, but when I got to chapter 4, it randomly just showed me an ending movie and credits. It said that I could not progress with that character, which means that I ended up having to replay parts of those chapters with a different hero that would unlock the next chapters. That's not necessarily a glaring flaw, but it can be really strange that I wish that the screen when you're picking your character would basically tell you whether or not that this would unlock something. There needs to be a menu that specifically tells you what you need to get further. It's also a little bit strange at times when I was going back through missions and I started to notice that the game probably doesn't want you to move that fast. So you can get a horse that's incredibly swift and speed from location to location, or even use the fast travel system to get around this giant nation, but there were times when I was running through cities that were very crowded and I noticed things became very low resolution. Not the game itself, but specific character models. So you can see right here, I'm just trying to do a massive attack here, and the game itself suddenly got really pixelated. It's like the game is trying to adapt by doing dynamic scaling, and these moments are really odd because you don't see them anywhere else. It's like the game is struggling to keep up with the action, but I think it's just a drawback of this game being open world, is it gets a little bit too big for its britches at times. Other than these minor aspects, I have to say that Dynasty Warriors 9 is way better than I ever would have expected. I'm somebody who doesn't really know anything about this franchise because I haven't played it in so long, but I instantly felt myself relating to these goofy characters and wanting to see more of their epic war because each new battle was so fun. Every single time I got stuck in combat for an hour, I was grinning from ear to ear, and every time I got to new big cutscene, I was laughing at just how dramatic every moment is. This game is fun in a way I never would have expected, and I just have to say, this is what a sequel should be. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's over the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Dynasty Warriors 9 an 8.5 out of 10. Occasionally, I've told people if a game is worth buying or worth renting, and I have to say specifically that this is a game I don't think you can rent. It is very long. In just a normal playthrough going start to finish with one character, Cao Cao, I spent about 25 hours just trying to get to the ending movie, and that was one of over 80 characters. If you see this game, I definitely think that it is a must-buy if you are looking for some massive action-adventure. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. This has been DreamcastGuy with another review. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Lu Bu is the best character of all. Yes, I don't care. If you're a fan of this series and you disagree, well, you're wrong. Lu Bu is the best. Look at those eyebrows. Oh, hey. I was just playing a little bit of Grand Theft Auto on my Darth Vader PSP. Are you curious what I'm going to come out with next? Well, if you click this button, you'll be subscribed to be the first to know. Also, if you click over here and here, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. I promise, it was super good. Or it was really bad and I'm sure you can just make fun of me in the comments. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks so much for watching.